Brief Encounter. This film is from 1945 and it follows the story of two love-struck people discovering each other as they wait for a train, pretty much. It is as simple as a premise could get. Here's a lonely woman struggling to find her place in the world, not really sure of how she's supposed to act or behave. Here's a man full of himself, confident, sees a beautiful girl, talks to her. Suddenly, a romance is built. Now, I think if you just take that idea alone, you get a very 1940s movie. Because, come on, it's an era where everything is about the romantic tendencies between people. They come together, they fall in love, they have a really good time. But what makes this, I think, a little bit more timeless than some other stories from that time period is both of these characters are married to other people. So when they come together, there's this sense of impending dread, unfamiliarity, and that this isn't going to last forever, because if you know society, it's going to start talking about those things. That is amazing. And I think that really benefits exactly what this story is trying to say, that sometimes if you're unhappy in your life and you're in a situation you don't want to be in, it takes one person to break you out of your funk, which I really love. Celia Johnson's lead character is so tragically perfect in this role. I completely believe every feeling she is expressing and going through. I think the narration definitely helps that, because she does do narration throughout the movie, but it's just like this woman is trapped in a routine where she feels trapped, alone, scared. She doesn't hate her husband. She doesn't hate her kids. She is just in a situation where she wants more. She wishes she could be a part of more things and do more stuff. Then when Trevor Howard shows up, this interesting doctor with a little bit more personality, suddenly you're like, maybe I could fall down this rabbit hole and do something new. I think that's really great. What really benefits to this story, I think, is like the narration that the woman is talking to her husband. She's like, I did these things with this guy, and sadly, like, this is just where my life went. And we spent a long time together, just a few weeks, just exploring each other and doing this beautiful chemistry of just enjoying each other's company. I think that's really tragic and really beautiful. Like, Celia Johnson is a really good actress, and I think this is the kind of role that could easily be washed aside as like, oh yeah, you're just like a love-struck woman finding a cool dude. But there's this tragedy. Every scene, you hold onto her face and you just watch the way she's like, this situation is not good for her. She doesn't want to be here, but it's the only thing giving her the semblance of joy. In every scene where she's like, should I go meet this guy on the other side of the train track? Should I go see him at this apartment he's staying at? You feel the entire weight that every decision in her world is coming down to how she feels about this guy. And can she handle that? Is it something she wants to handle? What is the point of doing all this stuff when this is the situation we're dealing with? It's really intense. It's really beautiful that way. Like, it's just such a realistic portrayal of romance in a time period where everything is like grandiose and above itself. And I think that really helps benefit the story, because it's like these two know they can't be together. When they're out in public, they're worried. When they supposedly get caught, the lie starts to take place. When she immediately calls her friend to cover for her if her husband asks about it, that's the kind of thing I'm like, that's realistic. I'm sure women and men alike have been doing that for generations, and I think that's a really cool way to play up the romance, because what's the best romance when it comes to film? It's the tragic stuff. It's your Shakespearean love story where no one can truly be together because it's always going to fall apart. You know what else I really like about this? It's a breezy hour and a half, which is really good because, come on, it's a sweeping love epic. We can do a great story and have it last forever, but the fact that it's like, here it is, here it goes, that's really tragic and interesting. I think that's a really powerful thing. This, of course, is based on the play by Noel Coward, and I like Coward. I think he's a really interesting creator. Just like his writing is just so all over the place sometimes. You never really know what you're going to get, and he really distills it down to a great sense of character and meaning, and the beats all work perfectly. I really enjoy what he is capable of bringing to a table. Every time he does a project, I'm like, cool, I'm excited to see what's coming of that. And Brief Encounter is probably one of my favorite things he's worked on. It's just so perfect. Like, there's not much I can really explain other than, like, you believe the romance. You believe that this guy who is married, who we never see his wife, which I think is an interesting choice. I think, in a sense, Trevor Howard's character is supposed to be like this really cool, mysterious guy that can show up out of nowhere to anybody. And the fact that we sense he's like a human guy who is a little bit more persuasive and trying to get, Celia to do these things. I think that just adds to like the guy is going to be the one who falls first. He's going to be the one who's like, it's a bad idea, but I'm still going to do it. And you still see like the way he talks to his friend when he uses his apartment. It's just like, all right, man, you don't have to cover up your bullshit for me. I get it. Like, I've been in love too. Just like, maybe just think about these things before you do them. Like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed kind of stuff. That's really smart. There's a really smart story in here about like love is so powerful and it can literally move us to ruin our lives. And that is such a brilliant story, an idea that is just portrayed in these moments. I think that's so intense and gripping. And it leaves you just like, man, this is pretty tragic. And I love a good tragic love story because that's what makes it intimate and scary and real. It's just like it could end at any moment. You don't really understand why we feel these ways. They just sweep you up and suddenly you're walking down, parks, you're taking boat rides, you're having fun. By the way, a great piece of like, I just think of like cinema is just when Trevor is walking off the canal boat that they're on. He just like steps into the water. That's a really good shot. It looks surprisingly well done. And I was like, whoa, that's actually a really nice thing to see. Cause I was like, it was just weird to me. Like, wow, that looks really good. Congrats on doing a shot like that where he's just like walking along a boat, seeing him static, but the boat going back. That's pretty creepy and cool. It looks really incredible, and I like it a lot. The script is really tight. Every line of dialogue has meaning, and even if it doesn't have meaning, we hear immediately in the narration that Celia's character regrets what she said, which I think is a really cool thing where she's like, I wish this woman was dead. No, I don't. That's rude of me. I just wish she'd stop talking. I'm like, that's a stream of consciousness thought that you just have. It's like, oh, I wish this girl was dead. No, I don't. Why would I say that? I just, in this situation, just stop talking. I need a moment, man. I think that's great. This was really fun. This is a really good movie, and I'm so happy I watched it. I've never seen it before doing this video. I'm like, when it comes to another romantic tales, I want to go to something I never seen before, and going down this road, I really enjoyed what I got. So I want to spend a little second here talking about the final moments of the movie. We know our two characters cannot end up together, and we go home, and Celia Johnson is just in a pit of despair. Actually, before that, I want to say that the way the story is take place over the course of like a flashback, we open up with like seeing the guy leaving when this new woman comes over to talk to Celia, and Trevor has to take off. That's really cool. And that's like the end of their story, but the beginning of our journey with them, and ending with that same shot, but now with all the baggage that comes with it. That's powerful and very gripping. That is something that I don't think a lot of filmmakers could do properly, but it looks so good here. It worked so well. I think that was incredible. So our last moments of the movie, when Celia goes back to her husband and he knows something's off. And I think this line in this particular moment, I think is one of the most powerful and heartbreaking lines of any movie I've seen in a long time. It's actually a line that when I heard it, I was like, it actually made me tear up a little bit because I'm like, this is really intense and scary. He just says, thank you for coming back to me. And she breaks down crying in his arms. And I'm just like, there is so much in that moment that you could explore. You could interpret it as like, oh, it's a clueless husband. It's like, oh, thanks for coming back to reality. Or you could see it as like a worried husband who was afraid he was going to lose the woman he loved. And now he's finally confessing his real emotional feelings to her. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for coming back to me, for having your escapade with this man who gave you everything, but choosing me instead. And that to me is a really heartbreaking scene that just goes to show you there is real depth and emotion in these older films that a younger generation should go back and explore. If you need, or if you are like a writer and you're young and you want to see how to tell a story about like two people that are in love but know they can't be together, Brief Encounter is a great film to show you that feeling, because there's impending dread and doom, and we have this idea in our heads that these two can never end up together, and they don't, and that is a really tragic thing to explore. Two people destined to be in love but can never actually be. And the final moments, thank you for coming back to me, will make you just speechless. It's a beautiful ending to an incredibly fantastic story, and I think it's one I'm going to be thinking about for a very long time. I'm so glad I took the chance and watched this. It is damn good. Just a great story and a great cap for this episode of Romantic Tales. And thank you guys for watching this rendition of Movie Tales. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any recommendations for me on movies you'd like to see me talk about, please leave them in the comments section below. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.